Let us revisit the moment when the world was reminded of what true royalty embodies. As the photographs emerged, Catherine, Princess of Wales, effortlessly commanded the spotlight. The tiara, the flawless hair, the elegant gown, the regal poise, and that unmistakable radiance. Together, they created more than just an appearance. They set a new cultural standard. For anyone uncertain about the meaning of elegance and authentic royal presence, this was the definitive answer. It was palpable. This was no ordinary public engagement. It was a declaration, a reminder, and a statement of stature. While most of us were still captivated by her remarkable presence, there was one person who, predictably, could not remain silent: Meghan Markle. Almost as though on cue, shortly after Catherine's images went viral, Meghan uploaded a rather uninspired photograph online. It seemed an attempt to draw attention back to herself, but instead, it only highlighted a familiar pattern, a subtle yet telling urge to remain part of the same conversation, to hold on to relevance. Yet the truth is undeniable. There is no longer a comparison. Not in appearance, not in composure, not in public esteem. Catherine never needed to chase the spotlight with publicity contracts or headline-grabbing streaming deals. She did not rely on emotional documentaries or carefully staged interviews. She simply turned up, fulfilled her duties, and remained steadfast. Years of dedication, of impeccable presentation, tireless handshakes, and hours of composed formality are now reaping their reward. That recent video with Prince William at her side, masterfully produced and brimming with class and assurance, was nothing short of a royal masterclass. And it is precisely that which unsettled Meghan. Here lies the heart of the matter. Meghan had always believed she was destined to be the star. From her early days in Suits to her headline-making wedding, she was convinced she could eclipse the institution itself. For a brief moment, perhaps, the illusion worked. The narrative of an American actress becoming a duchess captured the imagination of many. Yet over time, the facade began to fade. Not due to race, nor purely to tabloid criticism, but because the drama lacked depth and genuine substance. In contrast, Catherine's ascent was steady and unembellished. No theatrics, no explosive tell-all moments, just an unwavering display of what royal service truly means. And the public, it turns out, had been yearning for precisely that. Many may claim indifference to tradition, but when Catherine entered adorned with a tiara, even the most skeptical voices softened. In that instant, it became clear. It was not merely about jewels or gowns, but about presence. About embodying the essence of royalty. And Catherine delivered it with a grace and authority that no one else could rival. Do you know why this cut so deeply for Meghan? Because at her core, she has always known she did not fit the mold. And not because she could not, but because she never wanted to. She never embraced the ethos of service, nor respected the framework of the institution. She entered believing the system would bend to her, rather than realizing she was expected to adapt to it. When it did not, she cast herself as the victim, pointed to prejudice, and insisted she had given her all. But the truth is she had not. She did not adjust, she did not exercise patience, and she certainly did not earn her place. Instead, she demanded it, expected it, and when it was not granted on her terms, she tore it all apart. This is the fundamental difference. Catherine grasped the role from the very beginning. And this extends far beyond appearances. It is about character. Meghan was once lauded as a feminist symbol and a modern voice, but now her words often sound less like conviction and more like diversion. Meanwhile, when someone such as Donald Trump, hardly famed for his gracious compliments, takes the unusual step of publicly praising William and Catherine, you sense the tide has unmistakably turned. Catherine has not merely secured her crown, she has secured the affection of the people. And Meghan from Montecito must surely be wondering where it all unraveled. Meghan's decline was not a sudden collapse, but a gradual, humiliating, and largely self-inflicted descent. From the very moment she entered the royal sphere, there lingered an odd impression of performance, as though she were still on set. Her smiles seemed rehearsed, her speeches overpolished, and her energy never quite authentic. It felt as if she longed for the grandeur of royal prestige, but rejected the weight of its responsibilities. That was the fatal flaw because monarchy is not theater. It is not red carpets, couture gowns, or applause. It is years of duty, tradition, consistency, and sacrifice, often unrecognized. This is what Catherine mastered. She realized it was not about celebrity, but constancy. She became the figure who smiles despite fatigue, who attends engagements when no cameras are present, who endures without complaint. Meghan mistook royalty for fame. Catherine understood it as legacy. And when Meghan did not receive the adulation she expected, when the public did not bow in Hollywood fashion, she took it as a personal affront. Every headline, every criticism, every silence became in her mind an attack. Yet the public's frustration was not with Meghan for being different. It was with the relentlessness of her demands for attention, the insistence that everything revolve around her. Created with AI PRM prompt content rewriter. She shed tears when recognition came, but it lacked the glow she expected. Matters worsened when she began insisting she had no real understanding of what she was stepping into. Yet the truth is obvious. There are decades of documentaries, articles, and books detailing the life of the royal family. Catherine took the time to learn and prepare. Meghan merely skimmed the surface. And when the reality became difficult, instead of adapting, she sat down with Oprah, aired grievances to the world, highlighted the drama, and when the sympathy she craved failed to materialize, she doubled down. Meanwhile, Catherine quietly continued to build her reputation. Event after event, speech after speech, her once dismissed style, criticized as plain or safe, was transformed into the benchmark for modern royal elegance. Her composure, her role as a mother, and her steady presence began to resonate more strongly than ever. The very media that once compared her unfavorably to Meghan now sings her praises. The same public that once swooned over Meghan's fairy tale wedding no longer shows interest in her unless controversy is attached to her name. The true turning point came when Meghan began using almost every public appearance as a platform to criticize the monarchy. Veiled jabs, passive-aggressive remarks, and a constant air of victimhood became her narrative, building a brand from grievance. And tragically, she pulled Harry into the same spiral. Once one of the most beloved royals, charming, mischievous, full of life, he now appears weary, resentful, and adrift. It is remarkable that Meghan once said, "I gave it my best shot." Did she really? From the outside, it seemed she surrendered the moment she was no longer the center of attention. She never assimilated, never embraced the team spirit. It was always about herself. And when the institution did not orbit around her, she simply walked away. What makes it even more astonishing is that she still views herself as Catherine's rival. That is the illusion. She posts heavily edited photographs, imitates royal aesthetics in glossy spreads, and speaks on leadership as if she were a world stateswoman. Yet, it falls flat, because authenticity cannot be fabricated. When the world looks at Catherine, they do not see a staged photo shoot. They see a future queen, someone who has put in the years, earned the respect, and never once clamored for attention. She became the embodiment of the moment precisely by refusing to chase it, and that is what makes Meghan's story feel almost tragic. She was given opportunities beyond imagination, a seat at the royal table, the chance to influence globally, and a platform far greater than anything Hollywood could have offered. But instead of building something lasting, she squandered it, fixated on proving she was somehow larger than the crown itself. That was never ambition, it was hubris. Created with AI PRM prompt content rewriter, that is ego. No one ever expected her to be flawless. Perfection was not the demand. What was needed was a willingness to learn, to adapt, and to carry the responsibility that came with her role. Instead, she tried to reshape the entire institution in her own image. And when that failed, she cast herself as a victim and turned her grievances into profit. In doing so, she lost the very thing she craved most: credibility. Because no matter how many interviews she sits for or how many lucrative contracts she secures, the public's judgment has already been made. The shine has worn off. Now compare that with Catherine, who continues to elevate the very essence of royalty without ever speaking about herself. Her power is quiet but magnetic. She doesn't need to constantly assert who she is. People instinctively recognize it. Her presence communicates what words never could. And ironically, it is Catherine's silence that exposes Meghan more starkly than any headline. This contrast has nothing to do with gowns or glittering events. It is about energy. When Catherine enters a room, people lean forward. When Meghan arrives, people brace for spectacle. That reputation is not a tabloid invention. It is the cumulative result of consistent behavior. A person does not gain the label of grifter merely out of dislike. It is earned through choices. And Meghan's decisions have brought that title upon her. The truth is, the press has hardly been soft on Catherine. She has endured relentless scrutiny, her style mocked, her family dissected, her marriage speculated on, and her character questioned. Yet through it all, she never broke form. She never sought pity, never weaponized sympathy. That is precisely why, when she steps out in a gold tiara, wearing that serene smile with composure and grace, the applause feels genuine. It is deserved, not manufactured. William, too, has risen alongside her, making their partnership one of the monarchy's most compelling strengths. They are not chasing clicks or viral moments. They are building something far greater, legacy. That is where their power lies. It is the long game. Meghan and Harry, on the other hand, have pursued the fleeting, headlines, hype, shallow deals, and have little of substance to show for it. Not influence, not respect, not enduring credibility. Meghan still seems convinced the world owes her recognition, as though marrying into royalty should have instantly made her a cultural queen. But that is not how fame works, and it is certainly not how royalty functions. Royalty demands growth, humility, and service. The role must shape you, and the responsibility must steady you. Meghan, however, wanted the crown without its burden. And when it became heavy, she let it go. Now she stands on the outside, curating glossy photographs from Montecito in an effort to remain part of the conversation, while Catherine effortlessly leads it simply by showing up, remaining steady, and letting her actions speak. That is what a true princess does. And deep down, Meghan knows it. That is the sting she cannot escape. Not the headlines, not the critics, but the simple, unyielding truth. She could never embody what Catherine is. Not because she was denied the chance, but because she never truly embraced it.